Councilman. I know we tend to be spontaneous, which I think is a good thing. You know, after a year, sometimes we just need to let it out, maybe again and again and again. But I'll be brief. So I want to welcome you again and thank you for coming here this evening. What I'm going to talk about is, many of you know and many of you participated in the Endangered Catholics survey. It was a survey called Voices of Cleveland Catholics for the parishioners of the Cleveland Diocese, so we can gather personal feedback on the effects of the reconfiguration plan implemented by the bishop. Now, the diocese did not have, and still does not have, a mechanism in place to track the displaced parishioners of the reconfiguration plan, and has not asked any affected parishioner, or non-affected parishioner for that matter, for any type of evaluation or feedback on how this reconfiguration plan went.
Because they don't care.
I guess the big question is, does the diocese really care? Our survey was available through Monkey Survey, and it was available from November 2010 until recently through June. We had 141 participants. Unfortunately, it's difficult to get the word out. I know Future Church helped us with an email blast, but it's hard to communicate when you don't have parish bulletins to communicate with, because many of us no longer have our parishes. But I just want to briefly highlight some of the survey results. Some of them, if you have the program's packet with the songs and information, overwhelmingly from our survey, over 74% of those who responded to the question of ranking satisfaction with the leadership of the bishop indicated a poor ranking. That's 74%. That's a lot. And only 6% responded with an excellent ranking. Responses to the question of feedback on reconfiguration plan itself, 68% felt that it was necessary, but the process was flawed. 22% felt that it was not necessary at all. And only 5% indicated that they were satisfied with how the reconfiguration was organized and executed. Lastly, alarmingly, 38% of the participants of the survey indicated that either they're not attending a non-Catholic church, that they are attending a non-Catholic church, not attending any church on a regular basis, or not attending any church at all. So we got from nothing to maybe every once in a while at a church if the feeling comes to them, or they're just going to any church, a different denomination. I also would like to share with you some of the thoughtful comments made by the Catholics of the diocese about the reconfiguration plan. And some of them, you'll see the whole big list, but this is just some of them. I think the reconfiguration process was flawed in that it closed churches that were healthy. If a parish was paying its bills and had a committed community, even a small community, that parish should have not been allowed to remain open. Another one is, I'm concerned about the number of Catholics who are not receiving the sacraments. I met a woman only yesterday who told me she talked to a priest at an Orthodox church, and the priest told her 40% of his parish are now former members of the Roman Catholic Church. Another one, the history and heritage of a community of any form is of the utmost importance. The bishop failed to look at which churches had historical significance to the people he was supposed to represent. Another one, the whole process was poorly handled. The church preaches compassion, understanding, and love, yet the whole process was done coldly and seemingly without remorse. Another one, very simple, no church should be closed without the consent of its parishioners. These are the voices of Cleveland Catholics. And briefly, I just want to address the need for accountability and transparency within the diocese regarding the financial aspects. Since we are the church, we should have full disclosure on the spending allocations to all of us, not just what is put out by the diocese. It should be more detailed. Some of the things are just not disclosed at all, and it tends to get some people in trouble. But we are the church. Many contribute to the diocese, and we are the diocese as well. We're a part of that, and that should be should have that ability to know what's going on. So if you want to have one more letter in you, you may want to just write the bishop, especially about this new capital campaign. You know, where's the money going to? How's it being spent? How are you going to account for it? It seems that this bishop now in the diocese, I want to say the administration of the bishop of the diocese, they're not all that transparent. And I think we as the church, we the people involved in the diocese and participating should let them know that this is what we want, and it should be happening. So that's all I have to say on that. But what I have a reading here that's for tomorrow. It's from the letter of St. John, which I happen to find very fitting. So it's brief. My dear friends, do not believe all who claim to have the Spirit, but test them to find out if the Spirit they have comes from God. For many false prophets have gone out everywhere. This is how you'll be able to know whether it is God's Spirit. Anyone acknowledges that Jesus Christ came as a human being has the Spirit who comes from God. But anyone who denies this about Jesus does not have the Spirit from God. The Spirit that he has is from the enemy of Christ. You heard that would come, and now it is here in the world already. But you belong to God, my children, and I have defeated the false prophets, because the Spirit who is in you is more powerful than the spirit in those who belong to the world. Those false prophets speak about matters of the world, and the world listens to them because they belong to the world. But we belong to God. Whoever knows God listens to us. Whoever does not belong to God does not listen to us. This, then, is how we can tell the difference between the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Thank you.
Let's sing Faith of Our Fathers.
Go ahead.
Faith of our fathers living still, in spite of God.